Okay, I'm gonna keep it like 100. There's only like two possible reasons anybody could have clicked on this video. Either one, they think I'm delusional, calling 5'8" the golden ratio of height, and they just have to see what this delusional motherfucker has to say about this shit. Or two, you're 5'8" like me, and also like me, you realize that you have to find some sort of way to cope with the fact that you're gonna be 5'8" forever. My voice cracked. Forever. So you're looking for any type of closure. Either way, I'm looking for both parties. Now, being 5'8" is kind of like being the middle child in the Height family. You're not like tall enough to get basketball scholarships, but you're not short enough to not be allowed to be on roller coasters. It's kind of like a middle in between ground. You kind of just exist. You're just there, not standing out, but not being noticeable either. But you see, here's the thing. I'm sorry, I apologize for that terrible joke. But back to what I was saying. Existing at 5'8" actually comes with a lot more perks than people realize or care to think of. And so today I'm going to be explaining why being 5'8" may just be the golden ratio of height and why I might just be delusional. So let's start with the first thing, and possibly one of the better things about being 5'8" is that you're kind of invisible, but like in the best way possible. And if you're 5'8" with locks, it must be even better. Like, God, women must fawn over you all the time. But see, like when you're tall, right? When you're like super tall and you're among the crowd, it's a lot easier to spot you, and so you stick out a lot more. But being anything below 5'8", you're kind of just too invisible to be noticed, and that can also be a headache. But with the perks of being 5'8", you kind of just blend in with the crowd, right? You can slip through concerts, you could dodge unwanted attention, and you can also never be the victim of being asked constantly, can you reach that on top of that shelf for me, please? Or be told, "Oh, you look adorable." Because that would crush my fucking spirits if that was, approached to me because of my height and not because of the way I look. Point taken. Bottom line is that your height is pretty much the perfect camouflage for any outdoor scenario. Now, next, let's talk about clothes, specifically the clothing industry, because my God, do they want to suck you off? Listen, I get that might be a little overstatement, but just think about it with me for a second. Most clothes that are made today are made to like fit specific sizes, right? And making clothes costs money. Now, what is the majority size of any given place per cost? You guessed it, it is medium sized clothing. Medium size to potentially large size, depending on your bill, are the main ranges of making clothing that they not only make the most money on, but also spend the least money amount comparative to the money they make. Being tall, God, the clothing industry hates you. And I'll tell you why. Because not only do they have to make clothes for your big ass, but there's also less of you big asses. So they're making clothes for big people. They're spending more money and they're receiving less money back, which is why big clothes are so expensive, but that also makes people not want to buy them. And then for shorter people, it's more so of like, it's not necessarily that the clothes get more expensive at that point. It's actually less. The problem is the shame factor, because being a grown ass man and walking on a child's like aisle looking for clothes that would fit anybody's like 10-year-old toddler, it has to be the worst fucking feeling in the world. I'm gonna be honest. Not saying that I've personally done that myself, but I can understand the gut wrenching feeling it feels to like shop in those aisles and be seen with a full fucking beard and being like, oh, that's a grown ass man. Now this next point, it may be a little extreme, but I'm fucking reaching here, so I'm gonna bring up every point I possibly can. Planes. Now, being a tall person on the plane must fucking suck, especially on like not as expensive planes like Spirit, right? Imagine with me for a second. You're a tall person, right? I would say tall is anywhere from 5'10" to up. You're a tall person, and you get on a plane. Let's say it's just a basic plane that your everyday like day to day mundane person flies on, and mind you, the planes don't come accustomed to the person. The planes are already pre-accustomed, so you're fitting into whatever size seats they have for you. It's not an option. Now your big tall ass is sitting in that seat cramping because they don't make seats for tall people. They don't make that accustomed. Now you may be expecting me to rag on for like shorter people for sitting in the planes, and I will, but see, it's not as bad because I can imagine the advantages that come with being kind of shorter and sitting in a plane seat. Also, if you're wondering, I'm sweating my ass off. My AC is off. I just turned it off. It's not on. I'm doing this for you. I love you. But see, the one perk that I can think of for shorter people is that they have a better time actually getting comfortable in the seat because they have more area because they take up less area, right? But if we're going for that perfect, that comfortability plus not being shamed for being short, which is a thing that happens, 5'8", perfect height for that. Now, let's get into the dating range of being 5'8". Now, the dating scene is pretty hard to bring up for being 5'8" because in today's society, being taller, gives you better access to like dating mates. But 5'8" does have its perks, and the perk isn't necessarily getting a date; it's what the date sees you as. For someone who's taller than you seem fun sized and pretty adorable. And for someone who's shorter than you look tall and dependable. And that's not really a ratio that a lot of heights in the upper spectrums get to see, because if you're too tall, it's hard to view you as cute and adorable. But if you're too short, it's hard to find you dependable. So 5'8" kind of gets that golden ratio for that. And I think that's pretty cool. And here's the major nail in the coffin, is that being too tall brings a lot more risk for injury. And I'm not just talking about leg injury, I'm talking about any injury point blank, period. Because being taller means that your ligaments and your muscles and your bones are all stretched out a lot further than anyone 5'8", my size. So it doesn't take a whole lot to break or tear because they're already more brittle than mine are. Me being 5'8" gives me a pretty good advantage of not getting hurt as much as you do, apparently. Not to mention, statistically shown that shorter men tend to be a lot more stronger than taller men just because of the muscle like density and how compact their muscles are because their build isn't exactly big. And being in that middleweight, that not middleweight, and being in that middle height makes perfect. Also, it depends on your genetics too. I guess I have to say that as well. But statistically, so yeah, I might not be 6'6" or 2'2". I may never get scouted out for basketball scholarships because I'm not freakishly tall, or I'll never be able to do midget boxing because I'm not short enough to do it. But I'm in a pretty good range for my height, or for the height spectrum, for a lot of things that I like to do, and I think that that's pretty great. So we learned that 5'8" is not a bad height at all. And yes, I am delusional. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that like button again, please. And until next time, peace out.